on.
Yeah.
This is Alex. He runs our sewing department in the shop here at Springfield Leather. And I was talking about doing some videos. We did the ball glove.
Baseball.
The baseball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing a baseball out of our key fob, our pre-punched key fob shape. Alex came up with a nifty hack for that. In any case, I was like, Alex, let's do another video. And so he was like, yes, let's do that. And so reseller items is something that we've offered for a couple years on our website. They are 10 packs of just a bunch of different things. What do we have, like maybe 15 different items?
Yeah, I think so.
Around 15. There? Yeah. So we've got things from luggage tags. You can buy, 10 luggage tags. You can buy little card wallets. You can buy triangle coin purses, coin holders, coin pouches.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Skillet handles, because everybody's got that cast iron that they're tired of burning their handles on. Get a leather skillet handle. Just some little vertical card wallets, all the way up to like a passport case. So we sell all of these 15 different items. We have 3 different options. Or is it 4 still?
So we offer all of them where you can get 10 out of veg tan or Herman Oak. You can get 10 that are just black oil tan. It'll just be a mix of black oil tans. You can get brown oil tans, all browns. Or you can get an assorted pack where you're going to get a little bit of all those and then maybe 1 or 2 other different things that aren't black, brown, or natural.
Something fun.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way for those of you that have shops or maybe go and set up at events and things. The items are really reasonably priced. You get a pack of 10. You can get a cool assortment of things. And can just be little stuff for your customers to pick up. And so I was talking to Alex, and he's like, why don't we kind of go over some of the ways that you could customize these products after you purchase them from us for your guys' customers, to kind of jazz it up a little bit and put your own unique spin on it. So he's got a whole array of things that he's going to show us what we can do.
Yeah. All right. So all of our products come, you're getting a mostly finished thing.
Okay.
We're cutting the pieces and then we're sewing it together and we're making sure that it functions, and that's what you're getting. But we're not doing anything to the edges. We're not even sanding it. We're just making sure it's lined up nice and sewn down good. But that means there's lots of opportunity for when you get it to do a lot more stuff to it. And because we offer like several different like styles of leather that you can get these made out of, I figured let's go ahead and start with the easiest thing you can do with any of them, and that's finish the edges.
Okay.
So I've got a couple examples, all of the same thing. Now these are all eyeglass sleeves. Now I've done one where I just gave it a sanding and I used a strip of sandpaper like this, and just one direction, just sanded the edge and just made sure I didn't unlay the fibers, and just kept doing it all the way around until I just got a nice flat edge. And then after that, I would then apply gum trag, and I've got this awesome little bottle here. And
what is that?
I'm going to switch to that camera right there so you'll be able to...
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
This one.
That one, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use one of these that doesn't have a finished edge yet.
Just like where that black one is.
That black right there. Okay, so yeah, you can see this edge right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and sand it real quick. And I'm going to do just the one short side. My sandpaper's a little dirty, but it's nice and flat now, and all the fibers are kind of laying down. And this is just gum tragacanth, but it is inside of a little glue stick bottle.
I know.
And it's like really nice for doing an edge because you can kind of just dab what you need right onto the edge, and it doesn't.
Where'd you get that?
Ryan in R&D gave it to me, and I was like, oh, this is much better than having to put.
I think Ryan has a niece too, so he probably stole her.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. So I just kind of use that to get that on there, and then I take a little piece of canvas, just really quickly. I do the first few times while it's wet. I like to just go one direction and just make sure all the fibers again stay laid down. And then once I've kind of seen that I've got a nice little sheen.
Yeah, if you just look, you are all over.
I'm sorry, man. I have to look at my hands. I can't look up.
You're good. We're just burnishing some edges.
Yeah. You guys have probably seen this a million times.
Rhython, if you go to our website, type in reseller, or you can go to shop now all the way at the bottom. There's resellers. Yeah. Tony will probably pop the link in.
It should be in the description.
As well. Okay. Here, you could come and work right here.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
There it is. All right. So now I've got this one nice burnished edge, and you can stop there if you want. It's nice and simple. It just kind of cleans everything up. It gets rid of the extra fibers and makes sure that the edges are just nice and flush. If you wanted to go further, there's a couple other things you could do.
All right.
Now, because I'm going to be talking about these paints later, I wanted to go ahead and show you that you can use those paints as well on the edges.
And that's just our Angelus paint?
That's just Angelus paint. And
Nice.
the reason I wanted to show this as an edge paint is no, it's not as durable as the edge coat, I would say. But ultimately, it's so quick to apply.
Uh-huh.
Like you can paint an edge, turn it and start working on the next edge, and then by the time you've turned over, that edge is dry. And you can just kind of keep going around and do 2 coats really fast. Which makes it just like a really easy, fast finishing touch. Like I think this looks really cool with the red on the edges.
Absolutely.
And it literally only took me like 10 minutes to get all of that in there.
And you could do that a whole array of colors, and then you'd have something for everybody as they walk by.
Exactly. So that's one of the other edges we can do. That's a simple one. And then on top of that, I also have, you saw this kind of black one, or it's really dark brown wax. I actually went through and used the machine on this one because it was really quick.
With our Yankee wax?
Yes, with the Yankee wax. Yeah, but I just ran the wax into it and just loaded up the edge, and then just burnished the edge with the wax. Same process, but that makes it really clean, and it has like a really nice texture to it. It makes it feel almost like there's, you can tell there's something on it. That's really
coating.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't familiar with the Yankee wax, it's a product that we sell. It comes in a triangle block, and we have like black, brown, tan, and clear, I believe, are the 4 colors that we carry. And you use it with a burnishing machine, typically, because you kind of need that extra. It's a very hard, brittle wax. You can load into your machine if you have some sort of a machine, even like one of like Grizzly's grinders. You could probably outfit that with a wheel, or you can put that wax on and then just finish your edge. We use it a lot for our conceal and carry belts here. It's a quick way to do some edge finishing, especially if you're doing a
How
lot.
does that wax look close up?
But yeah.
All right.
And then there's one more I want to talk about.
The Fenici.
The Fenici edge stain. No, not edge stain. This is actually an edge coat. Now, the main difference between this and edge paints is that you do this in like multiple layers, and you're building up the edge almost. And so what I'll do is I'll burnish my edge like normal just to get it nice and flat, and then I'll lay my first coat down and just get it nice and dry. And it takes so long. I recommend using a hairdryer or something. But get it dry, and then just keep layering it up. Do one more layer, and then after that one's dry, I'll then just sand everything in one direction and just try to get it all flat.
Okay.
And then
with a really high grit.
With a really high grit, and I usually will use the curve of the edge. I'll just let the sandpaper naturally roll rather than trying to squish it down. That way, it'll kind of encourage that hump with the next layer. And I just kind of keep doing that, and sometimes it takes 3 or 4 or 5 layers to get that edge to like really build up. But this is something that's like if you wanted to really make it nice and make sure it's going to last for a long time. And these, I know this is a really plain color, but these come in just almost as many colors as the Angelus paints do.
It's a pretty good array.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice, and especially, I mean, if you're going to finish 10 at a time, by the time you're done with your 10th one, you could probably go back, and the first one might be dry, and then you just keep going.
Exactly, and that's usually how we do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm on. I can't see it.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so just a really nice, smooth color. This is any time that you want to finish edges and have a really, really clean, crisp, that like high-end bag finished edge.
This is a lot. That edge, that Duracoat, that diamond coat, or diamond edge, or whatever it's called. What's it called? Diamond edge color.
Yeah.
That's high-end bag. Like I know that, like Coach will use it because they're using that the coated, like the Saffiano crosshatch stuff that we have. That's what they're using to make some of their toast, that style of leather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one other thing. We've only talked about edging veg tan, and because most of our options are not that. Most of them are going to be oil tans like this. If you want to burnish the edge of an oil tan, you will need something like Tokonol. And the reason is Tokonol has other things that make it also sticky.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps stick the fibers of the edge down. There's not the same tannins in this that veg tan has. to allow that burnishing process to really work on oil tan. You'll just end up squishing the edge and kind of making it look mushy and weird. But if you use tokonol, you can, with light pressure, just kind of saturate it. And then once it's dried, you can come back with a burnishing cloth and just focusing on heat instead of pressure. You can get a really nice looking shined edge as long as you're just really gentle with it and just really just try to build up the heat. But this does work for that. I always hate when people say you can't burnish oil tan, and there's at least one thing that lets you do it. And so, like,
I think Tokonol and Toko Pro, both of them are very similar, and they'll do the job for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So now let's say you decided to edge something, and you're like, well, okay, now I've made it pretty, but it's still, I don't know. Let's say a field note journal cover, like this. So it's just two pockets where you can slip a little journal in. And so let's say you finish the edges. This is what you would get, something like this. You'd buy the journal, and then you finish the edges, and then I have ideas of, like, why not add a little pin loop yourself? I got it right. It's got to go this way. I'm looking at it. So I just took one little rivet, and I actually took one of our belt keepers and just made it real thin. And I just used a set of these to punch the hole in that, and then made sure I took a metal anvil to place inside here to set my rivet, and then just set my rivet like normal. But now, I mean, it's a little tight, but you know, with the oil tans, they're a little thinner and softer, so you have more room. But like over time, that would still lay down nice. And it's just, now you can have a field note journal and a pin, and it's one rivet and probably some trash leather you have laying around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really simple, just like quick upgrade to that. Now, a similar thing, we have passport covers. Now, there's a natural one just sitting there. I'll hide that one for now. So, passport covers, they're really plain and simple, but I think a lot about, like, if you're going to need passport covers, there's a good chance that you're probably going with family, and maybe you have kids. Mm-hmm. Like, and you give them a passport cover to protect their passport, but now it's just this, it's this. It's open and loose.
Right.
What do you do with it? Like, do you just give it to them and trust them with it? Like, or do you add
Maybe a little strip.
a little 11-inch strip? And I took advantage of the fact that there is this little notch here. So it's really easy to access and set a snap on this one.
Yeah.
And now all you have to do is one snap and one little strip, and now that passport cover can close itself, and you have something that you could attach, like a lanyard to, or like a wristlet or anything. Like, it's just a good starting point. And I just feel like that immediately makes this slightly more useful in my mind.
Yeah.
If you're not using your phone and you have your travel documents, you can put your boarding pass inside there, and it's all together.
So, or like hook it on. A lot of backpacks will have like an internal strap, so you could like latch it onto that, like just in case like kids rummaging around in their bag, they knock it out, like it's secured in there.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. And then I also wanted to point out too that these are called passport covers, but like, isn't that weird that these kind of just, you can fit 2 decks of cards in this, like perfectly, like it's almost like it was meant for it.
So if you're a card player.
Yeah.
And you want to carry your cards around in something, also will fit in that. I mean, you do have like the little, there's 2 slots here for.
On that one.
Yeah, for this, but.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be used for a passport, is all I'm getting at. Like, you can play around with it. So let's keep going.
All right.
Now.
Yeah, Crystal, Kevin didn't show up on Wednesday for the video because he didn't remember and he mowed his yard. I'm still a little sour about it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so.
Alex doesn't care.
No, you're fine. Just back to this.
My mind's just been on this all morning, so I'm just ready to go. I've got, moving on from just using a little rivet and extra leather or using a snap, we've got these little guys. These are the coin and card, this is the coin and card pouch, and then this was the triangle change purse. Mm-hmm. But these are 2 coin pouches we have. And honestly, they're fairly simple to add on to. I think these guys, you have plenty of room to set an eyelet back here, and then you can lash that. Or if you wanted to, right there, Oh, up?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. But those little places just make it to where all of a sudden now you can fit a chain, or you could lash something onto it, or what in my mind would think is like, let's say you just made a bag for somebody. You could put a coin purse that is just attached to the inside of their bag.
Yeah.
If you didn't make one already. And all you have to do is just add a little grommet or an eyelid.
I was gonna say, so many college students, like, they have their ID and they have a whole bunch of things. So they almost always, you'll see a college student with a lanyard with some sort of a holder for their school ID, their debit card, you know, their driver's license and that kind of thing, and that would probably fit all of that perfectly.
Right. So you can take this is what you would get, and then you can just add one little thing, and now it's not something you just throw and have to like dig around for.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome. And then with these guys, what's cool about these is we have it where they're 2 snaps hold them closed, and then they completely unfold. Which means these give you plenty of room to kind of do whatever you want to, because you can actually lay it out. So I have an example of just kind of the same thing, but this one I've already got done, and I've even shown where the hook can go. But if you put that right there, put a grommet right there in that hole.
Ah, right in the corner.
In this corner, then no matter what, like, you can have it hooked, and then you can open it from this side, and it's going to stay closed.
Yeah.
Or you can flip it around, open it from this side, same thing. It's still going to stay closed. Like, you're not going to drop everything out. So it like, there's one really good spot on these for that, I think. But still, these I think are really cool because they're like little like origami puzzle pieces, and they're like so simple, and nobody understands what they are whenever we like show them the dies the first time. And I don't know, like these I always think about like how can I do something else with?
Yeah. For sure.
And let me make sure. Is there any? Oh yeah. Then the last one. What time is it? How fast am I going?
You're 18 minutes in.
18 minutes.
Oh, dang.
So you got a few more.
Okay. Good, because the painting's going to take a while. That one's going to be the one where we're going to have to go slow. All right, and then the last thing is hardware-wise. We sell these little magnetic money clips. We always do pigskin lining, and then you can get them, again, different colors on the back, black, browns, all sorts of things like that. And then these we actually do edge ourselves, just because there's so many layers, we want to make them look nice. But what you might not know getting these is we don't just put magnets inside here, we also put metal plates. And this allows you to drill a hole directly through the money clip, which might not sound useful until you do something like that.
Oh, it's like concho. So
And it just screws into the other side, and it's magnets, so like you're not going to ruin anything by drilling through it, but that metal plate gives you enough stability that you can really crank down and not crush the magnet. And you know, so you can buy a 10-pack of these and 10 conchos, and they are like, I think it makes them look way nicer. Like, this is nice, but that looks really good. Just with one little, I literally just drilled a hole and screw.
Yeah.
And it just makes a huge difference. So I just wanted to point that out. If you're looking at the money clips, you do have the ability to just drill right through it and just add whatever you want to it.
Yeah. It might be nice if you do use a concho, you might have to go get your own screw. There's like a flathead. Like, go to the hardware store, because that, you know, that puckers out just a little bit on the screw that comes with the concho, but otherwise, super cool idea. No, that's awesome.
Oh. All right. Well, that kind of like it touches on all of the like really simple hardware stuff and like the edging stuff. Like, is there any questions? Does anybody have any thoughts, or should we just move on to painting and just go through that? Because that's gonna be, I think, the most fun.
I think at this point I don't see any questions from people. So
what were we doing with the valet trade? Did we talk about the valet trade?
Oh, it's just holding stuff.
But we do sell that.
But
that is also a thing.
Yes, I should probably put that
so
out.
if you wanted to buy pre-made valet trays, we do that also.
Yeah. So.
Can somebody order it and get it customized to where we hot foil stamp in them?
Oh, yeah.
They can do that?
They sure can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, any of the resellers, if you wanted to invest in a stamp that we would house here, you can choose the location. If you wanted, you know, on the passport cover, if you wanted your logo somewhere on here, if you wanted your logo somewhere on one of these things, you know, you'll talk to myself or Jacob probably, and we can get some information. It'll add 50 cents to $1 per item for us to hot stamp it before we assemble it, but we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Put
If
your
I
logo
wanted
on
to
it.
say I had custom snaps on it, could I order the resellers without the snaps in it, and then I could set my own custom snaps? Maybe I had logo, line
Yeah.
24 snaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just gotta contact us?
Yep, you just have to give us a call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
That was all the questions I had.
Perfect.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So let's get on to
The fun stuff.
The fun
Now,
stuff.
when making a valet tray, should you use the grain side to be on the top or the bottom?
I think
So-
it depends on
Depends
what
on what
you
style
want.
you're going for.
Yeah, we go flesh to flesh so that grain is on both sides.
Sorry.
But you could do grain on flesh, so you just get them both where you get all the one color coming up. It really is just personal preference at
Yeah,
that
so
point.
this one we have, that's the finished side, is the back. And then you've got this, and
Hey,
then
Wayne.
the exposed side. You can do 2-ply if you wanted to get real fancy, but you know, you're using twice the leather.
Yeah.
So this is our main go-to on how we assemble.
Did you have to grind the screw out or anything like that on the concho? Did you have to do anything special to the concho to make it be able to work there, other than just drill a hole in the money clip?
Nope, I just drilled a hole through the money clip. Just made sure that the hole was big enough for the concho, because the base of the concho is the part that you really want to make sure it fits. So as long as you can get that in there, and that you have a screw that's long enough to breach the gap. Usually, if you buy a big enough concho, you can look at this, like you can look at that screw, and the bigger ones tend to be okay. The really bitty ones,
Yeah.
those are not going to work. They're just not designed to go through that much. But
Yeah, like the crystal conchos usually have like a really short post, and like the screw is really, really tiny.
yeah.
And then a lot of times there'll be 2 of them, which would probably be inconvenient to try to like line up and drill out.
Yeah.
But
All right, so let's say you've done all of black. So we do a lot of tooling around here, and I'm sure you guys have seen tons and tons of videos on tooling, and I'm also sure you've seen lots of videos on painting. But painting is uniquely something that we can do on something that's already finished, and you're not really going to risk ruining any of the leather by adding pressure or squishing it. And we've kind of come up with a really simple process for doing it, and you can get results like this, or results like this. There we go. Yeah, so this is just our same eyeglass case as our normal. This is made out of import veg tan, and we had Brittany in the sewing room who works with me. I had her try her hand at painting because she said she thought she could do it, and she came up with the idea of literally using the patterns we use for our wallet backs. She just took some of those papers and then just took pieces of it and just very lightly would scribe all of it down onto the leather, even higher. And
There you
go. Yeah, so it's really, really light.
But so we do finish all of this leather.
Yes.
So all of this, anytime you buy a reseller's item, it is sprayed with
Neat's foot oil and bag coat.
Neat's foot oil and bag coat, just like our wallet interiors. So
Correct.
the leather has been sealed,
Correct.
which is just something for you guys to know. So it's not like toolable anymore.
That's true. Yeah, it is not. It is not toolable. Especially the way the bag coat has waxes and stuff in it that will start to do some funny things underneath the tool.
Yeah.
But you can still put paint on top of that, and honestly, them being finished, I think makes the paint a little bit easier to control because the leather's not trying to suck it up. And I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, look how fun. So Brittany in our sewing room, she's worked here for many years. She has just been having a great time doing some examples for you guys. Look how cool that is. So this is a deck of cards. Is it D&D cards? Is it some
I
sort
think
of
those
card?
are Magic Gathering.
Magic Gathering.
Like Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, so painted those card images, which I thought came out really fun, especially for those of you guys that do some of those nerdy events. Getting some of that on there is really cool. You can customize it, or just this cute little nature scene. And that's using that
template.
The template from our biker wallet back. Tooling template.
All right. So do you want to try doing a little bit of this with me and
Yeah.
showing it to him?
I can try.
Okay. All right. I figure I'll give you this one that's already been marked off a little bit,
Okay.
and I'm gonna let you. Do you want to paint or do you want me to paint? I can paint.
What's the other option?
The other option is to start marking the other one.
I'm gonna do that.
You're gonna do that? Okay.
I will mark the other one. Stores like Ace Hardware, I don't know if I've ever actually tried to match a screw like in the conchos, but I feel like if you go to like your Ace Hardware or even over here at our Sutherlands, they have that whole huge screw section, like the miscellaneous one. I bet you can find a matching thread to what you would need for the conchos so that you don't necessarily have to just grind the head off crystal. I've searched for a lot of screws in my lifetime, and I usually have pretty good luck at Ace Hardware finding replacements.
Okay, so.
Ooh.
Pick a palm tree.
Cause we're going on vacation.
Because we're going on vacation.
I love it.
So I'm gonna have Liz start scribing the palm tree into this, because I just want to show that you can just take whatever picture you want and just start working with it. And we're using a ballpoint modeling tool. A very, very fine ballpoint right here. And the reason it's important to do that is because it won't shred the paper while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So that's why we got that. Or you can just use a ballpoint pen if you want. And that actually is kind of nice because you get to see where you've already kind of marked on the paper so you don't overdo something.
Oh, that is nice.
But yeah, so while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get my gloves on and I'm going to start trying my best.
I haven't painted anything in a really long time. Luna. I usually stick to antiquing things.
Right.
All right, we're just gonna.
And I have elected to use the fine tip paintbrush as opposed to the nail polish brush that comes off the caps of these. That's almost unusable, especially when it gets goopy like this purple is right now. All right, and we're not going to spend forever doing this, but I just want to show you how easy it is, really, to kind of start just adding these colors in. So I've got some dark brown here. I'm just going to go ahead and start filling in. I'm going to start with this acorn. I'm just going to fill around the edges and then work my way inwards and just show you how these marks, because they're divots, they actually kind of help catch the paint too. So you're like not just limited to like your hand. You can kind of run up to the edge and it'll run towards those little divots now. Now, that is what I've been told. Yeah. Alright, it wasn't a lie. It does work. So basically I have a pretty saturated brush. And I'm trying to go just inside the line, but because there's that little bit of change in height, it's pulling the paint away, and it's making it to where even though my hand's a little trembly, it's okay.
It's hanging in there.
It's hanging in there.
I was gonna say one thing that you might keep in mind. Now, this leather is finished, so this surface is probably not going to affect it as much as if it were unfinished and like you're wet and tooling it. But if you are using a lot of pressure or you're setting things or doing something, you might put like a piece of suede under your leather on top of your cutting board, because all of these lines in cutting boards or in your table or different things can still mar the surface, especially of veg tan. The oil tan you can usually just buff back out with some product, but
oh, it's so goofy sometimes.
Do you want a paper towel?
No, I got it. There's just a thick piece off the wall.
Oh, you can get some excess
that's
off.
true, I forget.
Yeah.
It's a piece of paper right here. All right, now I'm gonna try to get this close so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see that I'm a little shy. Gosh dang, it's hard to keep my hands in the right spot. There we go. I'm a little shy of the edges in some spots because I was trying to stay away from it. But like where it covers the edge up completely, I was just as close. So it was like, you can kind of see where I had less paint. It started to not quite get to the edge. But this makes it to where it's a little bit easier than you would think to just kind of keep filling in colors. And you can see, looking closely here, how Brittany would do one color and then she would add edges and then keep adding on more little layers like that, and she would try and do it in very, very nice detail. Let's see, actually.
I feel like you gave me a really hard thing to draw.
I figured basic shapes, right? You know what I forgot? A cup to put water in.
Oh, hey, right here. I stole some because
nice,
Kevin was
nice.
going to use them, and then he
Perfect.
didn't show up. You use water or oil paint. We're using Angelus, so it's a water-based paint. So these are all just Angelus paints. We sell over 100 different colors of Angelus paints. You can get some paint packs if you just want a variety. They're real handy. They come looking like fingernail polish because there's a brush that's housed in the cap. They're super user-friendly. They are made for leather. So Angelus specifically makes their paints for the shoe industry. If you've ever seen any of that crazy like Nike shoe customization shenanigans, that's almost always using Angelus paints. They have contracts with different, like this is the varsity edition. So these specific colors that they have in this line are varsity colors that they've contracted with different schools. They have a lot of awesome things, and it's a really flexible paint. So thin layers, do maybe a couple coats if you need to build it up, but making sure that it's really thin, making sure it's cured before you start doing anything else, and it should stay really nice and flexible for the duration of whatever item you've put it on. You can also use this paint to do like the hydro dipping stuff. So it's a good paint to do that with if you're going to do that, but you do... I wonder if you finish the leather first. No, I don't think that you would. I think you would just dip it with the leather unfinished. Can you mix them to make a different shade? Absolutely.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to do.
Yeah, you
So-
can absolutely mix.
So that is something that I think is really interesting about these paints is you can get just about any color with a good selection of colors, but they don't work exactly like regular paints do because I think that some of those pigments just don't really get along with leather super well.
Right.
And so they have their own formulas that are actually, like this dark brown is probably a lot more blues or purples or than you would think. And so when you go to mix it, like we might find out right now when I put a little bit with this yellow that it's actually just a really, really dark purple.
Huh.
And so you kind of have to be a little bit more playful with figuring out what colors will end up going together right.
Stryker was saying that I needed to have a mic. Well, I do have a mic, I just usually don't turn it on my desk. But they were like, oh, sometimes Tony has useful stuff to say.
Sometimes, Stryker.
I disagree.
Sometimes. Yeah, Denny will be back next week. We've been doing some fun stuff. Trying to mix it up in here. Maybe give him a little bit of a break. You know, doing videos all the time, every week, can get a little exhausting. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I can imagine. How's that feel to you?
How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, like actually doing it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's hard. Like you're still, it's a faint impression, but it's there.
It's quite faint.
Yeah, but after you paint it, so you kind of see.
In fact, you don't want it to be too much because then whenever you paint it, it's really obvious. And then it's kind of weird. Like everything has outlines even though you didn't mean for them to.
Yeah. So, I think it'll look better once it has color on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no, Denny is all the fun. I love Denny is my favorite person. You know, after Luna, of course, who's also a person. Tabby Cat says, how long does it take the paint to dry?
Let me show you. So I just did some stuff on top of this and went and mixed a new color just a little bit and then came back and what I did already is dry.
Yeah.
If you layer it up really goopy, it will take a little bit longer, but it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially if you paint it directly onto like unfinished leather, it will it literally just it just sucks it up.
Yeah.
Like when I was talking about
the edges of
this, because that's all unfinished, it just seeps right into it, and it's
just putting it straight on the fiber, so there's no surface even to prevent.
Yeah, so it ends up being dry in 30 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you're right on the surface like this, within a minute, it's going to be at the point where you're not going to mess it up. If you touch it with another color or come on with another on top of it, your brush isn't going to keep messing up the layer beneath it.
Perfect. We can see what you're doing now. Now, Denny's trying to get prepared for the Brick Man next week. He's over there cutting out and punching out many, many, many parts and holes. So he's having a lot of fun. Semi-sarcastically when I say that. Oh, little highlights.
Yeah.
Look at that. Acorn lights.
Yeah. So obviously, I picked some random colors just to see, because we have just from what we had in the shop. But I just kind of wanted to really show.
I stole all the paint.
Oh, and that's why.
Because Kevin was supposed to paint on Wednesday, and then he didn't. So I was like, if you need it, let me know. But I'm just gonna keep it in here until next week. So if you need a color,
that's okay.
I have all of them.
I mean, if you guys are going to do a painting video, I'd rather not spend all this time painting and show it off. I just want to maybe show you a couple things that I've learned about the paints, and so if you do decide to do this, maybe save you a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think Kevin's going to be doing a little bit more of a watercolor situation because he's going to do a rose. So it's always good to have a couple different perspectives for what you're doing.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, so whenever Brittany was painting all of these, one of the big things that she was doing all the time is she would start with one good color for a section, and I would watch her do what I've kind of done here, where you take two colors, set them down, and then you just start mixing in between until she got a shade she liked.
Yeah.
And then she would start with that as her base coat and go over it. But then because she still has those two plots, she can still keep mixing between those colors and getting tones between the two. And so, and then a lot of times she would end up finding, because that works exactly like you would expect with normal paints, where you can kind of get two colors to maybe lighten or darken each other. White and black are pretty straightforward. When you mix them in, if I can look at these, that brown has turned into a gray with a little yellow, and then it's almost green before it turns completely yellow.
Yeah.
And then here, let's see if we can make a couple colors do something we didn't expect. I want to say, yeah. You would think, let's get blue and red.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry, it took me a minute to realize you were talking to me.
Yeah.
You want a blue, a light blue?
I want
a turquoise blue.
Let's just do the light blue and then just red.
There's scarlet, which is a popular.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Now, this was something this is where we learned that they don't do quite exactly what you think sometimes. She was trying to make a different color purple from the purples that we had. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, I'll mix blue and red together. Because that's how you make purple, right?
All right, so we have a blue and we have a red.
Mm-hmm. And watch, just because I'm doing this on a camera now, it's going to turn purple. But it kept just turning to like, I don't know, you'll have to see.
Angela's also sells like a neutral, and then obviously a white. So if you have a color that you're just trying to like maybe lighten up,
Yes.
Just add the neutral to thin the pigment out, or add white to create a lighter tone. Your hair's in the way a little bit. No, you're good.
Yeah. And you know what? It may have been the specific blue and the specific red she was using, because I'm just getting a nice purple color.
I feel like with anything, it's just trial and error.
What was the outcome she was getting?
Well, sometimes we would get like a bunch, like it would like start turning really green, or other colors would start coming through and be like, why is that color in there?
I wonder if that
And
paint had something mixed into it.
well,
prior.
we have found that there's a number of colors that will just when you start to mix them, it's just not quite what you expect. Mm-hmm. And it's because they have more tones in them making all the pigments. And so when you start to mix them, you kind of end up with more of a mess. Yeah.
Specific colors.
Yeah, so like you can make but she like limited herself to like 6 or 7 colors
Yeah.
that she knew would work well after trying for a while. Just because, again, like it just...
Well, and there
it's
is like a million different like reds that you could possibly start with.
Yes.
So-
yeah, and that's the other thing too.
Yeah, so like even just here, we've got this varsity red, we have scarlet, we have a burgundy, autumn red, and then like magenta. So like there's a lot of different starting points that they've already made. So depending on what you've got and what you're trying to mix together, you might end up with something weird.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But-
Angelus is an awesome product.
Yeah, and they're like cheap. They're like $3, $3.99.
No, I think they're like five.
$5.98.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
$5 a bottle, or you
Yeah.
can buy like we've got some 12 packs,
Oh, yeah.
where you can get this a little bit of a cheaper price, and you can get like the basic colors, which is just nice to start out with. So you kind of have a little bit of everything, and then I think we have a couple different. They're on the website. If you just look up Angela's Paint, you'll see the paint packs that we have. So if you just want a starter set, you can get a little bit of a discount on the starter set by just buying a pack that will give you everything that you need. And you can build from there, because it's an endless. There's metallic, so you have pearlescents. We've got like a purple pearlescent, a gold, rose gold pearlescent just in here. But I think there's like 6 or 7 of these.
Yeah, yeah.
And these are fun to add to other colors to give them a little bit of a shine.
True. We didn't experiment with any of them too much whenever we were working on this, the pearlescent ones, because they scared us. We were like, you know what, these are already complicated. Let's not do that. But we were also on a timeline, so that helps.
Right.
Helps.
Right.
But yeah, I was amazed, one, how many colors they have, and I do understand after working with a bunch of them, understanding why they do have so many specific colors, because they don't act exactly the way you want, and so sometimes if you're struggling, you just gotta buy the royal purple that they have or whatever,
Yeah.
and because they've got one that'll look exactly that color purple you want.
This is just so fun. So if those of you out there that like, well, leatherwork's not my huge forte, but I love to paint, like making little customized products just by, buying some stuff that's already done gives you a great canvas to work on. And then you don't have to cut the shape. You don't have to buy the leather. You don't have to sew it all up and spend the hours doing all of that stuff. You can just have some simple finished goods, and then jazz them up.
Yeah, I mean, really, that was kind of the whole point of everything that we've gone over. I didn't want to spend too much time on any one thing. I just wanted you to see all the processes and kind of just see a bunch of different ways that you can work on these and change them right away when you get them. Because I think these are pretty cool, and like I think it's really fun to church it up, as my mom would say. You know.
Make it classy.
Yeah.
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 So just all sorts of things like these. There's a Mexican restaurant across the street that we go to all the time. Kevin loves it. We go there a lot. And we made custom, like we lasered some oil tan hot handles, some cast iron skillet handles for their fajita things. So, you know, if you guys have lasers at home, all of these products are pretty well laserable. You can lay them flat. Most of these items can be laid flat for the most part, and you just stick somebody's logo on it if you've got a laser. If you have your own foil machine, you could still foil stamp this. Or like we were talking about, you know, that is a service that we offer here. You just have to pay for your stamp. We have a million different colors of foil, or we can just blank stamp it. And you can have a customized item to your business or to whatever it is that you're going for. But we have 15 different products. I think somebody had talked about like working with the minimalist wallets. Did you have any specific ideas with some of the different minimalist wallets that we had?
So for pretty much all of the really simple ones, you would be limited to like finishing up the edges, painting them, because they're all almost exactly card sized.
Yeah,
like
there's not a lot of room to add grommets and things.
Yeah, and so if you pinched it anywhere, you would just like essentially ruin that pocket.
Yeah.
But I mean, like there's potentially like room for things for you to come up with. Maybe if you had a small enough eyelet, or if you could come up with a clever enough way to set it.
Yeah.
You know, you could maybe do something with it.
But if you've got if you buy the veg tan versions, then you can. Once again, they're not toolable anymore because the leather is finished. Mm-hmm. But you know, you can laser still, and you can stamp. Mm-hmm. With foil stamps or burning. We talked about that. If you guys have the wood burning tools, you can wood burn on these items. So like you could just take that to your show. As long as you have power that you can plug into, you could take a wood burner. If you've got good enough handwriting or pretty good at calligraphy, you just write somebody's name on their minimalist wallet or on whatever item it is that they're buying. So
you can, if you thin out the paint properly, you can also use Angelus and a brush or airbrush.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could airbrush these. So get some stencils. Like that would actually probably be the quickest way to do this.
Be so fast.
Is to just get plastic stencils with an airbrush and then just airbrush with paint, because you can't do it with dye, because once again these are finished, so you can't airbrush the dye on there. Yeah. But just airbrush some fun little stencil artwork. So you know, just any sort, you know, like a Pokeball or
whatever you decide.
Yeah, whatever you want to do on there. Maybe a horse head or some flowers or just something that you could totally airbrush and paint. You could do them in a bunch of different colors, and that would be way faster than this even. So like this is a fancy way to go about it. But if you've got some stencils and airbrush capabilities, you can just spray the Angelus paint and go about that. That's actually a really good idea. That's a good idea. You could do some, like these would be awesome with some cool like a geometric across the back. 100%. If you just take like a couple different swaths of colors and some geometric designs to run all the way across, like if you just wanted to chevron it up.
It's true.
That would be super cool. That actually, I feel like we should do that. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun. Well, I'm glad it's working for you.
Are you guys as excited as I am? Because airbrushing is fun. It's a good time.
It is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you do have a laser, you can laser out your own stencils and then just ploop, or just like go to Michael's and Hobby Lobby, and they probably have a million different plastic stencils that you can buy.
That's true.
So.
You get really creative and create masks.
That's true.
Stencils and use different colors as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's all I have, unless.
Cool. Well, we almost made the whole hour.
Almost got there.
Yeah, it was good.
I was going fast at first.
That's okay.
Yeah.
My mom used to say anytime I did any public speaking, I was like a freight train. So I feel like, well, I don't know. They probably disagree that I've slowed down, but I have definitely slowed down from my younger years, guys. Just so everybody knows, don't complain about how fast I talk, because it could be worse. Alrighty, folks. This was a lot of fun. Go check out our reseller stuff. You know, you don't have to make everything all the time. Like, focus on what you want to do it really well, And then especially for the, you know, the shows and those different things where you just need some like $5, $10, $15 items on the tables. It's just easy peasy stuff. Like you can have your, you know, expensive fancy stuff that you've handmade, but get those little sales, because that usually is what can make or break the deal. Is just, you know, $5, $10 every couple minutes. Just somebody buying something. Make it fun. So, all right. Thanks, Alex. That was a good one. Bye, guys.